All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Community Solidarity Response Network. This is our weekly podcast and video minutes where we go over some of the things that we've done last week, the things that we're working on right now. We've got a couple of things planned in the future. Today, Brother Washington Muhammad, I use the pronoun he and him. Today I have on my black hat, my gaither right there, because you already know what it is, all right? And I've got my shirt, says, Dear Police, I'm a white woman. Because that seems to be the only people that are respected and protected and not murdered on a daily basis. So I'm not taking my chance out here. What else? I think that's it. Oh, also CSRN, Community Solidarity Response Network. All praises due to Mike Leonardi, Jabril Bay, two insane people that came up with this ingenious idea that you don't have to be a pastor, professional, or politician to speak truth to power. Hey, there's a lot of people out here that don't prescribe or subscribe to politics or religion. They got some killer skill sets when it's time to plan, when it's time to organize, when it's time to get it in. So wanted to layer that, Jody. But speaking of Jody, could you introduce yourself? Looks like you got a new shirt on, all right, or it's on backwards. Could you introduce yourself? What are you wearing? And also, I think we got mission statement after that.
So, no, I recycle as much as I can. I'm not in for new shirts or wearing brands or logos or tags or anything like that. So, my name is Joe J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth. I am a brown-skinned, big, bare tone of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and clothing that is nondescriptive but representative of my community, which means I outsource from local entrepreneurs. The shirt that I'm wearing currently is actually old, but it's still good. It's Flock. It's an organization that over the years we've worked with in the past, the Farm Laborers Organization. Shout out to them, and to helping immigrants find actually some type of, like what we're doing, justice for trying to feed their families and stuff like that. And immigrants are one of the few people who, is always in that boundary or border place where if you want rights, you have to do a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, my pronouns are him, he, and we. We being all the things that I do in separate entities that I've realized. Thank you, foster care and abandonment and stuff that so I don't attach to things too quickly and learn how to make simple decisions without putting my emotions in it. So this is our mission statement. We thank you again. I'm also the treasurer of this wonderful organization for nearly the past 7 years. So we thank you for always tuning in. You could be any place else. You could be listening to somebody ranting and raving about murder porn and how we need to scream in the streets to solve everything. But you're here with us, who we appreciate the time that you give us each and every week. And this is our mission statement. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014, the day after it was announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer, of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the fact that injustice experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often police brutality goes without consequence or accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy, citizen advocacy, to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive community-based events that help foster self-development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educator, etc., etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied to all equally, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all, yes, all lives do matter. Black lives must matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And for those of you watching and stuff that always ask me in person, what am I doing with my phone? I'm responding to you because you know what? We don't need corporations to fund us or do anything like that. We can do it on our own. If we show you the process, maybe you'll learn yourself instead of trying to find somebody who's never done the job themselves. Brother Washington.
All right. Hey, speaking of Brother Washington, hey, listen, one thing that I didn't say is that this is the home of all Black Lives Matter and Justice or Else. Either I'm standing with LeBron, kneeling with Cap, or rolling with Farrakhan. I'm dedicated and committed to defending all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. So, hey, wanted to just add that because I didn't add my little thing that I do, all right? So, hey, look, let's listen to Brianna, if you could introduce yourself. And I think we got the guiding principles, too.
Of course. My name is Brianna Camden. I'm the research intern for CSRN. Woo! Very proud to be here today. I got on a Heart of the Protest shirt. Now it's a little too liberally for me. It was a gift, but I still rock it because it sends a message. Black leggings, white tennis shoes. I don't pay that much attention to fashion. I got on a black mask, my glasses, and I'm here. I'm Black and I'm here. So let's get into these guiding principles. All right. All Black lives matter.
That's right.
Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor and working class Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men and women's lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children's lives. All Black lives matter and are creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe?
Ashe.
Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we are currently living in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist. Think beyond the possible. Ashe.
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics, and leave behind those that no longer serve us. Ashe.
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be a part of all of our work, and we learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe.
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct, loving communication. Ashe.
Ashe.
Self-love is practiced in every element of what we do. Love and self-love must be the driver of our work and an indication of our success. Without this principle, without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe.
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor past struggles and wisdom from elders. The work we do today builds the foundations of movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe.
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Ashe.
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling their stories directly. Ashe.
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe.
Ashe.
Brother Washington, what does Ashe mean?
Ashe means one who changes a thing or one who makes a thing happen. Thanks, Brianna.
I know that's right.
Hey, look, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Did you know addiction is a disease, not a moral dilemma? The opioid epidemic and substance use have a major impact on communities of color and many people's lives. Wasion Wellness Recovery Support Center offers culturally relevant inpatient and outpatient behavioral health treatment and recovery support services to any Ohioan struggling with addiction, mental health, or finding sober-safe housing. We must recognize that treatment is available and accessible to all. If you are in need of treatment or want to find out more information, you can call 1-888-728-2713 to talk to someone or schedule an appointment.
Hey, look, we are back. Man, we need to roll a clip of what happened on IG when we go off on Facebook. Hey, that could be a thing. Find out what we do on IG.
You know,
Just
sometimes
find out
behind
the
the scenes,
scenes.
planning and everything like that. You can show people everything, but not all of it.
All right. Well, I don't know if we got enough to call it all of it. It's just three of us here at a camera. But anyway, hey, look, this is CSRN Video Minutes. I want to start right now, get right into it. I think a lot of people are talking about what's going down in Columbus. And I'm so glad we had two of our comrades. We had Jody, we had Mike Hope, drive down Ground Zero. Jody, if you could just have a couple of things to say about that experience. And also, man, it's protest season, and that's what they call it because some of us enjoy the thrill of the protest. However, it's our lives and bodies on the line. So I understand the excitement of it, but this is us every day. Can you talk about your experience? What are some of the things that you saw? And are there some protest season tips that you'd like to add?
Mm-hmm. So, it seems like the only time I go to the Capitol is when I'm protesting something. I've been there for Move to Amend. I've been there for a couple of activist things, and I'm good at recording history or just in tune to it, just stepping back and being a fly in the wall, whether I'm marching or not. I'm not, as we all know through the situation, I'm not the megaphone or Julian type of person. I'm the poet.
Who is? All right.
I am the security on deck person, which means I enjoy wearing masks. I've done a lot in my time as not just an activist, but an author, a poet, an anarchist, and other things. So I know when things can go bad. So I've always put myself as the anchor. If you always wonder, like, why am I leading it? Because if a car is going to come through the middle of the street, they'll have to hit me first. If a sniper is on the roof, and I know stuff, like if you watch how I position myself when we are in outdoor public scenes, I'm willing to take that bullet first. I am not willing to go to jail to get locked up to have a badge of honor or to be the loudest person on some social media platform so I can go home and look nice in a suit or pretend to build an organization and get questioned about money when we're gonna stop on that road. But back to the meat of the situation, and I'll get to that at the end of the segment. It was a good trip. I travel a lot. I carpool a lot. I don't drive because, you know, me, myself, I want to leave a small carbon footprint. And there's some other personal reasons, but nothing to do with the license or not having the money to do it. I just rather travel with people because you share the experience. And it was good as you go from here to Toledo. You always see that Coons candy, and that kind of triggers you. And then you get into the city, and yes. There's a place called Coons Candy on the way to Columbus if you're ever traveling from Toledo.
That's right.
It's an old place.
That's
For
right.
me, it's just a trigger. I haven't been in there. I haven't spoken to people, so I don't know. But it's just an old trigger for me. But it also lets me know which direction in Ohio I'm going.
Right,
Hey, going south.
Yeah. But it was beautiful as you get into the city. I got to meet a lot of the local protesters, which I think again harkens back to I'm not going into nobody's city and deciding how they should run their community. I will be there to help. I will be there to get advice, maybe speak to some people, but I'm not trying to take over anybody's protest. If I can't find the leader or contact person, I'm going to stay in the back and shut my mouth. I'm not going to argue about what they should be protesting about or what their organization should look like because mine looks like this back at home. I'm not going to try and destroy their city because I ain't gonna live here. I'm going back on the road, so I'm not breaking no bottles or cussing police out or throwing out fireworks if I'm not going to deal with the repercussions that I leave behind. So I saw some of that, but I also saw a greater connection and unity because, like, there you have where we can speak to our city council people and show up at their doorsteps and stuff, but they have to lobby, which I didn't know that was a thing until I was speaking to some of their activists and stuff just to get something on the ballot. It ain't just signatures like we do here. They have to lobby to find people that will believe in them to take this to this person and still probably get it shut down. But otherwise, it was good. It was Columbus. I got some donuts. Ate at a place that me and my partner I met. Shout out to Heather Johnson. You are a great person. I'm glad to finally meet you in person and looking forward to being back. I'll be back there Saturday coming up and Monday coming up. We have 2 more initiatives. And for the people that was wondering why I was there, it was for Micaiah Bryant. So you can come with me with all you want. I was a foster kid. I know what it likes to feel abandoned, backed up against the wall. I'm not looking at the video because I don't need that trauma in my life. I just need to know the details. She was a kid defending herself with parents around, with police around, and y'all murdered her. She ain't coming back. Okay? Protest and stuff. We do this because another thing that I have issues with people in protesting communities that they want to make a name for themselves or that they're the only person that can speak for an organization. And again, as I've always repeated, we live on the backs of dead people who have been committed injustices against, and they can't speak up for themselves. For you to take any dime of that family's money or to pretend for a season because you want some views is wrong. There ain't no coming back from that. We don't throw nobody under the bus. You just don't exist no more. So you can keep popping up to things and stuff like that, but you'll always feel who's there for the moment and who's there for the movement.
Okay. Well,
So,
all right, tell us how you really feel. All right.
I don't get to speak much on this, but that's why, because
Yes,
I don't need to say a lot. I don't need a megaphone. You all got 45 stickers and some graffiti art, and I claim that. You find it, come get me. But at least I know a piece of me was left behind there, and I'll go back there at a moment's call if needed to be. Not because I just need some views. Shutting up.
All right. Hey, look, Brianna.
Shots fired.
That's a lot to take in. And I approve of that message. All right. And before you get to Jody, you're gonna have to holler at me. Anyway.
Y'all think I'm bad. He's been doing this since Million Man March.
All right.
Like bow ties. You see our photos. I want to say something too. It's kind of funny. I've been looking back at my photos of the years, and you always got your fist just like this. And we all fist and smiling. And, I think what we have in common, you just I box
it is what it is. And our unity needs to be defended at all times. All right, no matter who it is that wants to run up, our unity is the most powerful thing that we have. And that's the thing that now with this new COINTELPRO or COINTELTECHPRO, they're trying to infiltrate movements, groups, and discredit, distract, and divide. Nothing has changed. I've seen a lot, and it's a blessing to be able to be here with Brianna, Ruth, Julian, you, and I think I saw Joe Dewey. We saw Cedi in the chat. We saw Anika. We're going to talk about Anika in a minute.
Activism doesn't end for all those people that saw us celebrating last week. Yes, we had the right to celebrate, but 38 people have been murdered since then. So
Hey, all
I
right.
can only protest. I can only march so much. This is why I have political offices. This is why I do more when I come to a protest. I'm looking who runs food banks, who can get me to the person I need information instead of just screaming at some building that doesn't matter. Shutting up.
Hey,
Shutting up.
I'm here for screaming at buildings. There's some wicked people in there. I'm just giving them a fair warning, all right? Hey, listen, speaking of police, speaking of the 38 murders that's happened at the hands of law enforcement since George Floyd, Brianna, you are a scholar in your own right regarding police reform and the need for it. I want to ask you why the need for police reform and why now?
I'm gonna stop you right there
Mhm.
because we can't reform the police. But we do need a change. We need to reform something, but it's not the police, it's our society and the way that our society is set up to, leave people deprived of resources and not and lack of access to ways to uplift themselves and live a life that can be free of crime, free of oppression. So that is the real problem we're focusing on. But more importantly, I kind of want to, part of my thesis is debunking police reform. So my four points that I like to make are people think the police can be reformed, but I argue that it cannot be because policing is a reactionary practice.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
reform is trying to take something reactionary and make it proactive, but it's too late for that, And
I'm feeling that.
doesn't matter. Research shows bias training does not work. Within 24 hours, all of the information is gone. It's not comprehensible. They don't retain that information. As soon as they go back to their environment where they feel like they're in danger because there's Black people around, that bias is reactivated with the quickness. Civilian review boards. Those are flawed as well. Only 6 civilian review boards in the United States have disciplinary power. And that's a real key to civilian review boards is they lack subpoena power, disciplinary power, and access to records. So without those things, it's just not performative, but it's like a toothless tiger, So we need to be understanding that, they're giving us these things to make us feel like we have power, but we're not able to implement fundamental change through these reforms. Body cams. How many people have we seen killed on a body cam? Mm-hmm. People think that there's a civilizing effect to a policeman having a camera where they'll act differently and civilians will adhere more, but it's just not the case. And, I actually read this really interesting article talking about how racialization affects the way that we see things. So when I'm watching a video of Rodney King get beat up, I see Rodney King getting beat up, but somebody else who's white and doesn't have that connection or background sees him resisting arrest. So we can't just use video footage as the main thing that's going to get us justice. And lastly, minority representation on the police forces. People think, when I was in one of the meetings with the not the commissioners, but the Safety Justice Initiative, a person was advocating to get more people from the community in police uniforms. I had to bite my tongue real quick because they don't act any different than their white counterparts. They are still upholding a system. And as long as there's institutional pressures for you to perform and act the practice of policing, which is oppressive in itself. The principle of policing, it doesn't matter who you put in that position, woman, Black person, Latino, they will be just as evil as the next because that's the pressure that they're under. And especially with women having to adhere to masculine standards of hyper masculinity and violence, they might actually, some studies show that some women actually can act more aggressive in the position of being a police, especially as rookies, because they have something to prove. So these are just a few of examples where people think that implementing these actions will bring us, more transparency and control over the police actions. But until we abolish policing, we're just going to stay in square one.
All right, Brianna, before we cut the break, because I think our camera is melting. All right, now somebody needs to drop the microphone for me. When did you have this fundamental change? Mine happened in 1989 when a couple things happened, and I realized that, hey, look, everything ain't what it seems.
Mm-hmm.
When was yours? How did that come about?
Oh, I like to say Mike Brown's killing woke me up, but Sandra Bland's killing is what radicalized me. I felt like I couldn't sleep for days, where I just realized, there's just so much out of my hands that I feel like it's so much bigger than me. And I knew that there were so many problems with this. Also, this summer, I protested a lot. I went to the one on May 30th. And being tear gassed by the police did something to me. That was my breaking point right there. And that's kind of what inspired me to get involved in this scholarly process of researching, what is the historical context of policing? How does that inform modern practices? Is there hope for the future? And the answer is no. We just got to get them out of here. We need to restructure society to be able to sustain themselves police free. Because the truth is, humans have existed longer than the police have. I'm pretty sure we don't need them. If people had the resources and their needs met, we could be a functional society, not looking for punishment and, capitalist greed. So.
And there you have it. Hey, listen, stay tuned. This is the CSRN Video Minutes. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Dr. P. Not only am I a leadership coach, I'm a change agent, and I'm a race scholar. I've used my study of race to dismantle systems and organizations, but I also use that to help you as the individual become a better leader for your families and for your community.
One person.
Hey, we are back. We caught you slouching. All right, do we get you sleeping?
It's not hard.
Hey, listen, this is our CSRN Video Minutes. It's our weekly podcast, and we're talking about Micaiah. We're talking about Andrew Brown. We're talking about George Floyd, Sandra Bland, Mike Brown. The list goes, on and on. And we're here for it all. Hey, look, I've got Julian Mack with us. Julian, Golden Rule, isn't that one of your
monikers?
Yeah, one of your monikers. Hey, listen, you've seen what I saw. All right, we watched the same news feed. We watch, we're on the same pages, most of the time. All right.
Okay, of course.
All right.
So yeah, what's up, though?
Yeah, but what do you think needs to happen now? What are your thoughts on that? And then we're going to hear from Ruth. Then we got another break.
It's exhausting, and I don't know if there is one right answer. Brianna just had a wonderful breakdown of and articulated so eloquently, the problem of policing in America, and any reform that happen, how any reform won't look like liberation for us, right? And that is absolutely 100% correct. And but nonetheless, we have lives to save. You know what I mean? I think later this week, the Justice and Policing Act, also known as the George Floyd Act, is going to go on up for a vote. I think President Biden will be speaking about it tomorrow. Are there flaws with it? Absolutely. It provides more funding for a racist system. Funding that we know just goes towards more funding to perpetuate oppression. But are there some checkpoints in there that increase accountability along the way? Absolutely. There's a saying, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. I'm not sure if we're in the position right now for full-scale revolution that would eliminate police department here in America. It may happen in a couple of months, but I don't know if we're there today. All right. And so, I'm of the belief that the difficult we do immediately and the impossible may take a little while longer. Right. And so we do the difficult today. Right. Today we continue to push for a civilian review board locally with teeth, with subpoena power, with the ability to be able to investigate and prosecute, and have that civilian review board look like the community that is often abused by police officers. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are absolutely things like that help today. But as a man who has a lot of words to say, in full transparency, I'm a bit at a loss for words. I see the Milwaukee Police Department, right, and having done the research and knowing that many of those policies are policies that we've been working years for to implement here, only to see what happened to George Floyd, only to see George Floyd's life still be taken, only to see Dante Wright's life still taken. It is, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's hard not to feel overwhelmed. I'm fighting that feeling.
That brings up the next two questions for you, if you don't mind. One is wellness. How do we do this work and still stay balanced? I think Brianna talked earlier about self-care and this intentional and essential act that we strive to practice, even though you got an RIP every day, every hour. How do you stay balanced? And also regarding our civilian review board, we just launched our Refund Toledo last year on change.org. And if you scroll through our page, you should be able to find it. We should put it back on and pin it at the top. What's been the response when you go out, when Ruth goes out, when Jody goes out and talks about a civilian review board with teeth, with subpoena power? What's been the response given to you regarding that?
I mean, it makes sense. People agree that it's a practical thing that needs to happen. The only folks that don't agree with that, right, are usually people in positions of power that are beholden to law enforcement. Right? It makes sense that the people who serve, the people to whom the the people to whom the police officers serve should be the ones responsible for holding them accountable. I mean, it's a relatively elementary concept that is being proposed.
Okay.
You know, and might I add that there are aspects to this that our neighbors to the south in Columbus that we're trying to implement. But again, as Brianna, it's the issue with reform. And you know, here's the thing, right? We if I may just speak candidly for the people, for me, myself, and some of the people, we're beginning to get really frustrated with reform. We're beginning to get really frustrated with spending all of our time, effort, and energies only to reform our police department to what it looks like when it kills Dante Wright, George Floyd, or Ma'Khia Bryant, right? I think to the civilian review board that we're working on it, and much of the blueprint is similar to what happens is similar to the civilian review board in Columbus. The fact of the matter is that civilian review board didn't save Ma'Khia Bryant's life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's questionable whether or not that civilian review board will hold the officers accountable that murdered her. So
Okay.
I'm at a loss for words right now, right? Like that's why I'm like, I wasn't trying to be unprofessional.
Well, how about
that's why I'm like, you know, it's a tough spot to be in right now, and if we don't, we have to see the material conditions change, right? It's the time for lip service is getting old. The time for passing surface level change is getting old, and the appetite for reform and this whole attitude of don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? That's what we get in these meetings in one government center. Yeah, and that's what they tell us, right? Well, it's an improvement. It's not perfect, but be happy with the improvement. Mm-hmm. You know, and look, be honest, man. It's getting to the point where that will not satisfy. Look, I'm just going to put those running for office, those that are in office, on notice. Right? If these material conditions don't change, that is not going to satisfy the appetite that the public has for justice and peace, because it does not equal justice and peace. Okay. You know, and so I'm tired. I'm kind of fed up.
Yeah, because you're leaning out of my shot. All right. Hey, all right, you leaning out of it. I didn't want to get too close. Yeah, you know, we got you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, edit that part
out. Before we get the root, you never introduce yourself. What you got on? All right. Hey, so what's up with that?
My name is Julian. Preferred gender pronouns he, him. I have black and blonde locks. I have on the defund racism shirt in University of Toledo. This isn't University of Toledo. It's more like Libby Cowboys colors. Oh, yeah. But yeah, systems function in a way that's racist in so many different ways here in America. And in this capitalistic system, it's like the only thing that the system understands is taking the money away. So that's what my shirt means today.
Okay, all right. Hey, look, let's go ahead and do a smooth segue to Ruth, who we heard about Jody. He somewhat functions, well, he does function as our treasurer to keep us honest and to keep things, just to keep things above board. Beautiful brother. Well, Ruth functions as our lead of our administrative corps, even though we don't have president and vice president. Somebody has to have some type of responsibility. All right. At the end of the day, everybody's not going to get what they want. So we're going to have somebody that has that tiebreaker power to say, hey, look, here's what we're going to do. Debit and do it now. All right. So Ruth, I follow you on Facebook. Love your posts. I've lost many Facebook friends by being your friend, and that's all well and good. All right. Hey, listen. Earlier, I think yesterday, you posted, "Hey, look, I got some words regarding Ma'Khia Bryant." What's your hot take on that situation? Who are you? What do you got on? And what's up with those shoes?
Alrighty, so my name is Ruth Leonard. As you stated, I'm the administrative lead for CSRN. I have on a gray, I can do all things through Black people rhythmically chanting, "Hey!"
Hey.
Who strengthens me? This is a vintage 88. Please check out vintage 88 gear. Ashton is dope AF, and her gear for this summer is awesome. I'm a brown skin complected woman. My hair is back in a short afro. So here's my hot take for however much time it's been since I've been vocally active. I took a break because it was overwhelming doing the work that we do. Self-care is very important. But I'm back, and at the end of the day, my opinion remains the same. There needs to be an abolition of the police. Police were created in their most organic structure to be slave catchers. And when you look at how the majority of Black people respond not only to police officers but to police cars, it is the same way that slaves would respond to being captured. There is an inherent, almost metaphysical response to police officers in our communities that it is without any sort of extrasensory notifications, you tense up. Mm-hmm. You get scared because you don't know if you're going to be the next hashtag. You don't know if you're going to be the next person who winds up engaging with a police officer who has a chip on their shoulder. My main concern for the community as a whole, and I'm talking to Black and brown, white and Black people, when you look at the purpose of the police, it should be that the police operate as Ubers, right? You have a police officer that shows up, sees a crime, and they are the Uber to take you from wherever you are to whatever station that they're going to take you to. That should be the crux of their importance, right? And then you leave it in the hands of the district attorney, blah, 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 blah. But we know as a fact that is not how the police operate. The police operate as judge, jury, and executioner whenever they feel the need to, because it's always a perceived threat. Whenever you go into communities of color, there's always a perceived threat. And if you constantly have a perceived threat to the melanin in my body, then you are in the wrong occupation. That's the first thing. Second thing, Ma'Khia Bryant should be alive today. Ma'Khia Bryant should be alive today. Ma'Khia Bryant should be alive today. I have seen too many people calling this 16-year-old girl a grown woman who was engaged with other grown women. That's not what happened. She was a child who was engaged with grown woman, and in her 16 years of mental development, she defended herself the only way she saw fit. Now you have all of these different versions of what happened, whether or not it was Ma'Khia that was the one that called the police. Regardless, the police were called for the express purpose of de-escalating. They were supposed to de-escalate. As someone who has worked in high schools, as someone who has worked in communities, as someone who has worked with 16-year-olds, there are a lot of emotions and there is a lot of escalation. And if you are not prepared to de-escalate, you have no business being around them. I've broken up fights with nothing but a whistle. I've gotten in between individuals who were engaged in fisticuffs, who had weapons, and it was still possible to break them up without shooting them. Police don't need guns if that's the case. Because if every time you're going to show up to something, your first response is to use your weapon, you don't need a weapon. If my first response every time I showed up at an elementary school is to take out a baton and smack it on the desk, I don't need a baton. Because now I know that whenever I show up, I can incite fear. I can incite anger. I can incite the escalation of emotions in individuals who are already escalated. The police are not serving a single positive purpose. And I'm tired of all of these initiatives coming out where, oh, the police are going to come through and we're going to serve you ice cream, or the police are going to come through and we're going to make sure that you get a tote bag, or the police are going to show up and we're going to bring a stuffed animal and we're going to make sure that you don't fear the police. But when you're outside of those same scenarios, the first thing they do is grab that holster. So obviously your ice cream and your initiatives and your stuffed animals aren't doing enough. Ma'Khia Bryant should be alive today. There is absolutely no reason why 4 bullets should have gone into her body. And the fact that police are still being called in the year 2021 boggles me. It boggles my mind. Because there is no safety in police. There is no safety in the police. There is no safety in the police. I would much rather, if I am being mugged, robbed, attacked, call Brother Washington, call Julian, call Jody, call Brianna, I would much rather call them than I would ever call the police. Because at the end of the day, you fool me one time, shame on you. Slavery. Fool me 2 times, shame on me. Jim Crow. Fool me 3 times, F the peace sign, load the chopper, let it rain on 3.
Oh. Okay. All right. So
No, I'm sorry, Brother Washington. Because here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I have made it a point to get police officers out of schools. Because I know that it is a daunting process to truly abolish the police, like Julian was saying. It's difficult to truly abolish a systemic structure that has all of the money and the resources behind it. That the status quo is that the police will always be there. The police will always have your best intention at heart. That doesn't work for Black people. It doesn't work for Black people. It doesn't work for Black people. How many times do we have to see the hashtags or the videos or see the cries of the individuals when they're Black, and then at the same time you turn around and there are hundreds of videos of white people doing white people, but they can get off, they can drive away, they can live in a world where they're melanemia, because you know. The lack of melanin. The lack of a melanin is a protection. They're melanemic, I believe, is what the famous woman calls it. I can't remember her name though. But we as a people, and I'm talking to my Black and brown communities right here, because those are the ones with the biggest targets on our back. We as a people can no longer rely on the police to keep us safe. And the reason why I can say that with absolute confidence is because in the pit of my stomach, I know that saying that puts a target on my back from the police. I know that in any version of this world, with the past 400 years that Black folk have been in America, the police have been created to keep us in line. The police have been created to keep us under the thumb of white supremacy. And for anyone who doesn't get where I'm coming from, I mean, just look at a couple months ago. Look at January 6th. I did an interview where I was shocked that more white people were not shot and arrested at the Capitol. Because if Black folk even thought about showing up in mass for a family reunion,
that's right,
for picture day, if we thought about showing up in mass for anything, anywhere where more 7 are gathered, it's a threat. The National Guard would have been there, because the National Guard surely was everywhere that there's been a police protest. The National Guard definitely can show up there. So let's start thinking with our melanin, right? Summer's on its way. It's 88 degrees outside, and I'm still in the sweatshirt because I don't got time for the nonsense. because I know at the end of the day that there is a danger of being Black when it comes to interacting with the police, and therefore we can no longer interact with the police. I'm sorry, I don't have it in me to sit and do the photo ops and maybe get my picture on a billboard and say, oh yeah, Toledo together. No, it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. We've tried it. I've tried it. I've sat in on those meetings. I've sat in with the police. I've sat in with commissioners. I've sat in with city council members. I've sat in, and it's always been, oh, we can, but we won't. So you know what? I can't do it anymore. The police are not the answer. Call your community, build your communities back up, call your neighbors, talk to your neighbors so that when something happens, you can call them instead of the cops.
Okay, all right. And there you have it. All right. It is what it is.
Ma'Khia Bryant should be alive.
And I like to add for all the men that agreed with the police.
Another thing.
Say it.
Look. Thankfully, I have not had to come across any of your garbage takes when it comes to how you perceive Ma'Khia Bryant as a 16-year-old young Black girl. But what you won't do, and what I'm thankful that I have not had to do, is call you out on your BS. You will not defend the police in the murder of a young Black girl. You will not defend it, because if you do defend it, you are just as much a part of the problem of white supremacy as white people. And what I don't have time to do is stand up and defend Black men, because Black women will defend Black men to the end. I never watched the George Floyd video, but I was still there to defend him. Didn't need to watch the video, because I knew in my heart of hearts that he did not deserve to die. And I am sick of Black men who need to have video surveillance, who need to have Jesus come off the cross and let you know that he agrees that the Black woman was innocent. I need you, Black men, to stick up for Black women the way we stick up for you.
And add to that, it's a new level of cowardice and fear to see you respond that way. You think that right after Derek Chauvin was found guilty, that most of you would have got on point. Mm-hmm. That you had an opportunity to get on message or shut up. All right? Let us do that. We'll defend our people. You stand back. You stand down. You be quiet. It was embarrassing for you, not embarrassing for me, because I hold my own. But for some of the Black men that I saw siding with the police, you don't deserve a woman, all right? And particularly not a Black woman. And if you got one, she needs to reevaluate some things. All right, so that was a different level of cowardice, and it's to be expected at this time. And this is going to root out all of the cowards in our community that want to stand by the police no matter what. We're going to be here for that. Hey, look, go ahead. We're going to take a short break.
It's disappointing. It's like we've reached a point in the conversation where it's like where folks are saying some slave beatings are okay, some whoopings are okay, right? It's okay to hang a Black person for this when the whole institution is rotten and needs uprooted and abolished. And all right, you know, self-care is, you asked about self-care, and honestly, I kind of spun you, and I didn't really have an answer for you. Well, but I'll answer it right now. All right, self-care is choosing not to argue with people that are committed to misunderstanding. Right, we're all on these social media platforms where there's trash conversation, and what self-care for me looks like today is I don't have to engage and give that my energy. Okay. I save my energy for myself, for my family, right? For those that I love, for my community that I fight for, not for someone that deliberately wants to misunderstand me.
All right.
And I challenge all of us to do the same, right? Because those practices of self-care are what's going to allow us to be able to make it in the long haul. And those people that you're arguing with in the comment sections won't be there for you when you have a breakdown.
Right.
Trust me, I know.
Right.
You know, so take care of yourself. And no is a complete sentence. And choosing not to say something is saying something in itself.
And it's a special place in hell for cowards like that.
Mhm.
All right, special place. And hey, listen.
I know that's right.
Hey, let's go ahead and take a short break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna have Jody. We're gonna have Brianna. We're gonna talk about what's going down in Swanton right now. We might have to load up the CSRN van, but we're gonna talk about that. What's going down in Swanton right now with our sister Anika Fields and our family out there. So stay tuned. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Come back.
Do you care? Do you care? Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save for you. Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Your life matters to me. Does my life matter to you? If your life matters to you, wear the mask for me. It could save you. Fall back and check yourself. Fall back and check yourself. Fall back and check yourself. Fall back and check yourself.
All right. Hey, look, we are back. This is the CSRN Video Minutes. I've got Jody here. I've got Brianna here. I want to go over, Jody, a couple of things right now. Let me bring this up on the screen if I can. All right. Give me 1 second. Anyone that's interested in happening. I was in contact with some of the team today. Contact Charlene at Comrades, or if you put that up so that the camera guy can. All right, no mulch, no stink. Contact Charlene at Comrades Assault Club Car Wash right there at the corner of Airport in Bern. Tell her that Brother Washington sent you. She might give you a discount, all right, or she might charge you double, depending on how she feel about me that day. But listen, we're really trying to make a difference in our community. And other than that, I wanted to also say that Julian talked about self-care. If you can grab that, Brianna. There's a number right there. Was that 1-866-712-4404. That's a hotline number. If you feel stressed, if you have some anxiety, if there's some substance abuse happening in your life, you don't have to suffer. All right, you can make that call. We've got operators online right now, both in English and both in Spanish. Make that call. You know, we can be healthy. Lastly, we've got our Black Lives Matter signs, and it is protest season. You cannot have a good protest season without your Black Lives Matter sign. All right, and we're starting to distribute those back in our neighborhoods again. You should want to have that yellow and black with that big black fist sign in your yard. Be the envy of all of your neighbors by having that sign. And if they're upset about the Black Lives Matter sign, double down and get the Defund Toledo Police Department sign, all right? If they're upset about your Black Lives Matter sign, double down, get the Defund Toledo PD sign. How can you contact us? CSRNToledo.com. Check out our website. Get some swag. I think we put that in the trailer earlier. But get some swag, and also you can find a way you can donate. CSRN 419 for the PayPal, CSRN 419 for the Cash App. Hey, look, I think that's all I got for right now. I think we covered that. And Jody, let's make sure we don't forget about qualified immunity. We got something coming up this weekend too.
Yes. So with that, and then I can kind of transition. I definitely want to say thank you, Ruth. That is an awesome comeback to.
All right. I don't know if we should clap our hands, but snap our fingers. All right.
And do your step.
Do like Griselda. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, y'all did. Hey, he just got it.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Throw a bumper clock in there too. So,
okay. All right. We're not officially off the rails, but we're headed that way. Jody.
So yes, I kind of express some of the things that's going on in the community. This is also why I travel, not just again, for me, activism is something that not necessarily fell into my lap, but it stopped me from doing a lot of things that I was doing previously. Again, I've always been this conscious, but an 8-year-old telling you stuff that he read in some book, nobody was listening. So when I did get into the other fields to actually experience life, not just read a book or listen to some podcast or some meme or somebody that I've met that kind of has knowledge about some situation, I lived it. I lived in the nightclub industry. I traveled around as a carnival worker. I traveled around as a day laborer, which means I definitely sympathize with migrant workers because one day I could be on a roof, the next day I'll be in a sewer system. One day I won't have a job for 2 weeks, and the next day I have a job for 3 days. But because their practices were unsafe and I injured myself, I can't go back, which is a DNR and a whole bunch of stuff. But in the community here, I try and build beyond the protest line. Because I will be there. You'll see me there demonstrating, talking, meeting organizers, but I also want to know that I effectively take those resources back into my community, which is why I only buy locally from people. I have stuff online through my businesses and organizations, but I primarily meet the vendor because I know that dollar is going to either go into their childcare, their rent, or something, and not off to some corporation that doesn't give a damn at all, except to say, hey, look, we put your symbol on our organization. Give us some more of your money. Give us some more of your shows and your soul and your organizational wealth that we just keep forgetting about. We keep forgetting about, we get bombed when we try and build banks and businesses and farms and stuff. So I am happy for everything that's going on right now, but I'm also cautious of the backlash. I mean, literally, again, celebrating last week and 38 people are dead. And every time we're out in the street, I have to tell activists the masks are the best thing that could happen to us. I don't take smoke breaks. I don't take water breaks because I know, especially when I'm under a police building or at the actual site, they're recording all that.
That's right.
That is my life. It's not fun. It's not pretend. It's not get me some likes and hey, I did it or I'm doing it now because last year looked awesome. No, that's your life. You're going to have a target on you and certain jobs and certain positions and stuff like that, or just be followed. Another reason why I don't drive. I don't like people following me. But sidetracking from that, community is doing a lot of good things. I have right now a guy by the name of Jonathan Icewater, is actually an artist and friend of mine. Let's see if I can back out of that. Okay. And this Saturday, May 1st, I'll be in Columbus, but I will be back during one of these days. So I'm just going to read his small excerpt. It's a community, like the Doug or something, community center is being built. So this is the information that he sent me. It's on our page. You can look for it as well. Saturday, May 1st through Wednesday, May 5th. Project ER will be hosting a cleanup building on Crystal Street on the east side. We are looking for people to help strip the building down to its bare bones. You can come for an hour, one day, a couple of days, or all five. The more the merrier. We will be removing drywall and drop ceilings, cleaning out old furniture and throwing away anything that isn't of value. Mostly throwing away materials and hauling away trash. We'll be listing and selling some items because again, old buildings here in Toledo, people just leave them abandoned, and there's all kinds of furniture and stuff that you can use. So they'll be listing that they can receive that were in the church.
Right.
We plan on working from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. those 5 days. Everybody will be provided with lunch, drinking water, and PPE. So your gloves, your mask. Again, I did day labor. Some of them weren't so great. I got scars to prove it. But if you want to help out your community, build something. Again, the other police, because we all know it's real sad, they're slave catchers. So there's only so much, even with qualified immunity, I would like to put some fear into them. So every time they use that trigger, they're affecting their office, their jobs, their station, basically, instead of just bullets. I have a poem. What is it? Bullets fly. They collect paychecks from bullets that fly in the streets because then they have to look more aggressive because then your neighborhood is so bad that they have to police it more. But they're policing it more isn't actually solving any crimes. They're just murdering people.
Okay.
So we have that going on. Shout out to Jonathan. This Sunday, we actually have an event coming up with the city. We evolve on multiple layers. We don't always have to have a mask on because if you don't know how to speak to people to change the laws, if you don't want to become one, then learn to speak their language. Learn to talk to them and make sure that you or your organization is a relevant entity in the city. So when problems do arise, you can try and fix it. You can try and solve it and won't be looking for somebody's hashtag or live video when they're just there for the moment. So we have that going on Sunday. That's on our page. And I do want to speak on one thing. Love the Arts Commission and everything that's going on because this is the East Side. I am the precinct captain, Central Committee of 18C. And it was informed to me because I also run a food bank. Shout out to Chris Meager and our Emerald's Food Bank that we're now immediately looking for a building because the Save-A-Lot, which those of you that aren't familiar with Toledo, Ohio, or the East Side, there are 2 grocery stores. That's it. So the Save-A-Lot, which covers the majority of it, because the other store, I think it's Family Foods or Spartan Foods or Food Center or something generic food, but they have a grocery store, is on Main Street. That means everything up until Oregon has no food.
That's right.
It's gone. Like, I don't know the circumstances. I am going to be hollering at you, Teresa Gaddis. Put that on live. I'm going to be hollering at you and figure out what's going on because that's the entire East Side. You get downtown, there's nothing there. We got maybe, I say it, a dozen, if some corner stores. There's some restaurants, but what about the elderly people? We're getting calls now from people who live 3 blocks away from that store and they can't walk. How are they going to get to the grocery store? The bus system is trash. Thank you, Tarter, for the new schedule that you put out, um, which is completely horrible because for me, I know construction and stuff, but I live on the east side and there's like 4 buses that affect that. And if I want to leave from my place on the bus, I have to wait an hour and a half to a connecting bus, and that's bullshit. I'm sorry, it is. I'm considering going back to work, and luckily I can walk downtown because I enjoy walking. It's a half an hour, maybe an hour. But what about the elderly? What about the disabled people? What about everybody else who's trying to get back to work? Not everybody wants unemployment. It's a nice kind of cushion, but the country should have done better with stimulus is instead of fighting over who the hell was getting out of office. And now we're fighting over who's getting some stupid. Anyway, thank you for the people that are doing great in the community. Mutual Aid of Toledo. I know I have stuff coming up with Headstock. Shout out to Devin Fang. Shout out to the program. Shout out to Chris McBrayer, Gutter Dave, Tracy Haynes, who also does. We have a event that we do. We didn't get to do it quite the same way last year. The Duncan for donations that are out here every day struggling to help people. We have a dance class that comes to give kids an outlet to do stuff because you're just giving them screens. You're not really giving them substance or anything. You're trying to reprogram them into not being able to talk to people. An emoji is nice, but it's not a language. It's not how do I know what to do in a situation if shit goes down. Okay. And most people don't know how to deal with that. And I hate to say that.
All right, Jody. Well, we're gonna get you a drink of water or something. Hey, listen. I wanted to bring up something else that is happening. Not only we're having the Gathering of Peace. This is going to be at Ottawa Park on Sunday, 2:30. Come check it out. We'll be in the house. YWCA, Human Relations Commissioner Toledo, and a few others are going to join us there. This Sunday at 1 p.m., please join us at Friendship Baptist Church. And I want to give a big shout out to Mike Hope and the labor and staff of Friendship Baptist Church and all of the people in leadership that allow us to be there to talk about this. This is a serious subject, and I think that we've done enough work that a lot of places will open their doors and allow us to have this discussion. So join us.
Buckeyes Beyond is his organization.
Right. Mike Hope and Buckeyes and Beyond. We're talking about qualified immunity. We're talking about leveling the playing field. We're talking about repercussions for the things that police do that they just can't walk off scot-free. It's going to be a good discussion. So join us there, Friendship Baptist Church, 1 p.m. Ottawa Park for the Gathering of Peace. 2:30. Hey, we got like
2:30 Sunday.
Decent stuff going on.
To Columbus, I'll be there.
Right.
1 o'clock Saturday, and then back again Monday. I think at 11.
And let's post that on the page.
Yeah.
And we'll post that on the page too. And lastly, before we get to Brianna, because I want to ask Brianna, hey, she's a student. And you got a bright future ahead of you. I always tell people, look, you got more years in front of you than I do. All right. So, and that's, hey, it's all good. All right. I think I done ran my race. All right. I may have 40 or 50 more years to go, but I think I done upset a lot of good people. All right. I want to talk about Anika.
Yes.
You know, if you're familiar with
she's in the chat
our sister Anika Fields, we had some protest activity there regarding her. We're still fighting the Swanton Police Department and the mayor and all of those in the administrative branch of the city. I want to talk about how even though Anika, who fights for New Order Human Rights Organization, along with Sabrina, along with Ceedee, shout out to those sisters that's really holding it down. Anika saw a sister being assaulted, and she has it on her house cam, on her Ring doorbell, or a security system. So she calls the police. When the police gets there, Jody and Julian, they view the tape, and they still side with the white neighbors.
Right.
Even though it's on tape that this lady runs up to this lady and hits her.
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw when I logged on. And
all right.
Again, I hate it.
So now it's okay. We're going to shift into what's next. I thank Anika for still being a soldier to put her life on the line. So now it's what's next. Swanton next. I got to drive through Swanton so that I can go to work. So I'm stopping through there tomorrow. If you do have means of transportation, inbox me, because we're going to do some community patrols there. We were doing it a couple of years ago, and it was successful because we had more people involved. You don't have to engage anybody or anything like that. That's my job. But if you want to be a part of this, to just drive through to create a deterrent, inbox me for that. But Anika, yeah, we feel you, and we saw the tape, and we're gonna be there for you. So that's one of the things that I think I wanted to touch on. I think that we've got pretty much everything that we wanted to discuss today. And I wanted to ask Brianna, man, look, you're a student. Where do you see yourself 3 years, a year and a half, 5 years? Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing?
Well, I do graduate in less than 2 weeks.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the time being, I plan on going back home, but in the next year, I plan to start working with AmeriCorps. They they connect people with nonprofits. And so I feel like that's the best way for me to kind of get my feet on the ground doing community work career-wise. So I'm looking forward to doing that. But I just feel this kind of like catch-22 because, there's no ethical way to work under capitalism. So even nonprofits have their flaws. So in me trying to think that I can pick a career that's going to be moral is putting a lot of stress on me. I've got all the books to study for the LSAT to go to law school, but the last thing I want to do is become a part of a corrupt system. And I understand I can use that JD to make good change, but it's hard because my passion is environmental justice. And as we're seeing with the case going on over at the car wash, it's really hard to go up against these large corporations. It doesn't mean it discourages me, but I understand that with environmental law, there's always the catch to have to prove the intent to discriminate. And without the resources and money, it's going to be difficult. But that is still something that I'm passionate about.
Okay.
So for the future, I really hope to be working in doing community building, something with environmental justice and Black liberation, something along the lines of that. I really am passionate about the environment. So what I'd like to see myself in the grand scheme of things is having my own community garden that is free for the community, where it's got youth programs teaching the youth how to garden, feed themselves with nutrition, decreasing food deserts, and helping people learn how to create their own resources. Black people, we were farmers. We was kings. So,
all right.
It's important to get back to our roots. So I really hope that I end up in a career that satisfies me. But I believe in my journey.
That's right.
There's a plan.
That's right.
And I look forward to finding out what that is. So for right now, though.
Okay, we'll keep living.
Yeah.
And all of us find our lane. All of us will sell our skills in the marketplace. All right. We will we will do that. We will earn a living. We will also do what we love. I do both. I earn a living and also I do what I love. It doesn't mean that I have to sell out just because I've got a skill set that says that I can do plumbing or I can do electrical work. I'm not beholden to the unions or whatever. I get time off to work. When I'm off work, I do what I want. All right? I do what I want. All right? They don't pay me enough to shut me down like who? Damon John. All right? They don't pay me to shut me down like that. All right? So, man, stay where you are. Stay in your journey. Speaking of journeys, I want to also thank you, Jody, for Jody and a few others assisted us at Eden Community Garden on Sunday. We had a soft opening, which meant that we had to get our ground together, get our soil together. I think that we had our last frost, all right? And hopefully right after Mother's Day, we'll be posting that online where you can join us. Learn how to plant your own food. Growing your own food is like printing your own money. There's no way we're going to get it on and popping in America and then expect the white folk to feed us, all right? That's not going to happen, all right? It just don't work like that, all right? It never will. So as Jody's saying, regarding food deserts, what are we going to do for ourselves? All right, we see how this is going. We can feed ourselves, all right? We taught them how to feed themselves. Why can't we do it? Jody.
Yes.
We're about to close out. 5 minutes of heat.
Great first before that. But okay. So I'm gonna piggyback on that, but we're gonna do a commercial break before 5 minutes of heat.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Because and what people don't see is I can help with that. We have great organizations here in Toledo as far as that have been through the AmeriCorps process. I know several members that are at Food Not Bombs. So Monika Perry and Alex and those type of people that could probably help you get some footing into what it's like to farming. Of course, Brother Washington, we have a wonderful woman in Toledo by the name of Sonia Ramel, who does Sonia Organics, and she's also doing gardening and that you can go and volunteer and see how to plant and print your own money, your own food and everything like that. I think it's definitely important to be like some of the titles and awards that I've won have been on environmentalism. So I do want to remind people too, and I know we don't talk too much about what's going on outside of Ohio and everything, but shout out to Gangsta Boo or Lola C. Mitchell. We're not technically friends, but she responds back to my comments sometimes. But she brought up last week and about what's going on through Memphis. In Tennessee, they're trying to build a pipeline over their aquifer. So if you check out her page, that's the only way I know the link to it. I'll try and throw it up on our page again. Find out what petition or what you can do to stop them from putting another pipeline over a source of water that is not contaminated, that serves millions and millions of people. We still haven't checked in on Flint, but you know, one problem at a time, but I haven't really heard any progress on that. But yeah, so with that, hopefully we'll be able to help because that's what we do. We facilitate stuff that we've learned over the years and give back knowledge. So,
I appreciate that. Look at that. Family helping family.
All right. Hey, look, we're going to take a short break. Coming back, 5 minutes of heat. Stay tuned. CSRN Video Minutes. Come right back. All right, we are back. That's got to be a better segue than however that happens. All right, hey, listen, we're back. We got Jody Summers. We got 5 minutes of heat, and I need to. We're gonna do some fishbowling right here. All right, this is unscripted. All right, we just got an update on qualified immunity. Can we bring Julian in? Do this 1 minute update,
Yep,
and
sit
then
right there.
let me bring here. Yeah, let's bring
Hey everybody, this is Julian with a brief update on qualified immunity. So the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act just got sent back to the House of Representatives from the Senate with a provision without the provision that would end qualified immunity. So that is bad news for those on a national level that we're hoping for our representatives in the Senate to pass that. And it's all the more reason why we're doing this work on the local level.
That's right.
Right. Any real change starts from the ground up. So we hope to see you all sign that petition.
That's right. All right. Didn't have to hold my breath for a minute and a half for that bill not to pass. All right.
Exactly.
Hey, no surprise there. All right. That's what we call it, justice or else. We've done all that we could do. We've trusted them. We participated in all of their systems. We played nice. All right. Now we're gonna have to get it ourselves. All right. Don't worry about giving it to us because we're coming to take it. Jody, we're gonna close out with 5 minutes of heat. Then we've got Brianna with our solidarity pledge.
All right, everybody. So for those of you at home don't know how we close out our meetings, we do it with a verse or something that is engaging to the times that we live in right now, to give us thought about all that we go through, also sometimes maybe to give us solace, but that's not the piece we're going to get today. Today, we're going to get a piece called Nostalgic Information, Glamorizing Graveyard Adventures. So let's begin. Peace. Also, this piece has been edited from the original because I understood the impact of the acronym that I just spelled out not being in the actual verse. So when you hear a certain word in there, that would have been the acronym if I was slamming this piece. And this is more performance. So let's begin. Peace. Gun clicks. Pow. Don't be so alarmed. Just don't be so alarmed. It's just the sound. Yes, it's just the sound of another kid dead. Another brown boy laying in the streets by the hands of someone who does not wear a badge, whose skin is melanated to just the right tint to where this, yes, this is no longer a crime. This story, yes, story will never see the news except to dig up old wounds and remind you, yes, remind you of all the reasons they deserve to die. It's just gang violence. It's just the result of the life they chose. It's not a reflection on our community. There are no invisible walls connected to the gold chain trap music, yes, trap music and influence that we feed you as we break your minds, steal your childhoods, erase your history, and convince you that living on assistance is the quickest way out. As the links to our think tank keep erasing your unity, one platinum drug-tested epidemic, yes, epidemic, stream through our children's eyes, one flat line at a time. But I thought you should know. His name, yes, his name was Tyrone. He leaves 3 kids, yes, 3 kids at home and died without a dime. Gun clicks, pow. No need to grab your signs, protest in the streets, or yes, write your congressman a hateful letter. It's just the sound, yes, it's just the sound of another kid dead. Another young woman lost to the streets who was molested as a child by pastors, teachers, and trusted family members. So she left home trying to survive. And although she was young, she had already gone numb, deciding this is how she would survive. She did pretty well and managed to scrape by until someone, yes, someone viewed her as a prize, a money-making scheme to get rich quick. When she decided it was time to get ghost quick, they ditched her quick. One shot to the gut and a twist, yes, a twist to the neck. Left in a dumpster, it's a dumpster for 3 weeks to set. Her family had no clue. They were all too busy trying to hide the shame, yes, the shame they felt. But the truth coming out, they all knew. So her case sits in a stack of unsolved murders. Jane Doe, with the description torn out. Bars, yes, bars, clink, pow. Unless you go to where lost children, yes, lost children become lost souls. You will never know, yes, you will never know how deep the extermination goes. But it's just another kid dead. The last sound they'll hear before joining a company of their peers who were told they were never good enough. Grades were no good. Too hyperactive, they might have played sports, but their teachers read from books. No sense of structure, just fall in line. Your creativity, yes, your creativity can only fit on this dotted line. So the system passed them by, determined by the third grade, yes, the third grade, the resting place they shall stay if the curriculum doesn't fit their age. Now it's prison guards just 3 strikes away, or one, if you multiply just the right way. In their teams they will sit until there's no childhood left, making all the amenities freedom gets the free with money to split. A new shiny workforce at just 10 cents a day. And when they're released back onto the streets with a criminal record, and no way out but the streets. There's the streets to pay their way. The bars, yes, the bars become their church bells. They'll ring to their graves. Don't shed a tear. These statistics, yes, these statistics were just born out of fear. So it's time to come out of the dark, yes, the dark, and speak light to your loved ones while they still have ears, yes, ears that hear the right way. In peace.
We got to give it up. We got Jody Summers. Hey, listen, family. Thank you, Jody. Bars, click, pow. Oh, man, I was ready. I was going to drop a hot 12, all right? Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, I'm going to write down that piece for you guys. So that piece, again, is an acronym to the word nigger, which is what we are always assumed of being because we live in certain places.
That's right.
And people with our organization are always like, well, you don't talk about the black on black crime, blah, 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 boogaloo type of stuff. But we do. We have to live it every day. We don't get up and put on some paint or put on some makeup and say, hey, I want to get thrilled and try and survive. No, this is what we see. But we fail to realize that all of those actions, from the young man that gets killed and doesn't get a parade or a march or a candle vigil,
right,
to the young girl who might be 16 and gone through all kinds of stuff in her life, she's gone in an instant and we just brush it off. The young men that are out here with no schooling or training or anything to fight for because it's easier to get locked up and get fed a hot meal and a cop didn't have to deal with, I can't get a job because I got a tattoo on my face. Anyway.
All right. And listen, at this time, as we always do, we close out with our solidarity pledge. We got Brianna today, Ruth?
Yep.
All right. I don't know. Can we fit in here?
Yeah, we can. Everybody.
Is there a place?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a family reunion.
Show too much of our. Hey, don't show too much of our.
Oh,
And we got the one cousin that's always
Nothing happened.
Oh, man. All right, get in the picture.
That's poopy.
There you
Come on,
go.
just stand up.
I think he's fine right there. Don't
You want to be
mess it
his message.
up. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Ooh.
All right. Solidarity pledge. Let's go. I say your name.
John.
Pledge to strive
pledge to strive
to love my brothers and sisters
to love my brothers and sisters
as I love myself.
as I love myself.
I say your name.
James.
Pledge to strive
Pledge to strive
to study
To
study
to improve myself
to improve myself
spiritually,
spiritually,
mentally,
mentally,
morally, and physically
morally, and physically
for the benefit of myself,
for the benefit of myself,
my family,
my family,
and my people.
and my people.
I say your name.
Brilliant.
Pledge to strive
Pledge to strive
to be part of the solution,
to be part of the solution,
the process,
the process,
and not the problem.
and not the problem.
I say your name.
Brilliant.
Pledge to strive
Pledge to strive
to give all that I can spare
to give all that I can spare
of my time,
of my time,
my strength,
my strength,
and my energy,
and my energy
to achieve
to achieve
the above said.
the above said.
Well, give
yourself
yourself
a
a
hand.
hand.
Yeah.
Great job, everybody. And remember, all lives can't matter until
Black
Black
Lives Matter.
and Black lives can't matter until
All Black Lives Matter.
justice or else.
Peace.
Same time, same station.